Hello everyone, Minky here with the third deck profile, or the third episode of my deck profiles. Today I thought we'd tackle on one of my Armityle decks. I've actually got 3 different versions of it at the moment. Again, just like with all of my decks so far, they're pretty much incomplete at the moment, but you know, hopefully I'm looking to hopefully improve them soon enough to the point of you know, actually being playable and viable and actually being able to play Armityle. So let's get started then. So this is actually the first, like I said, this is the first of 3 Armityle decks, and you'll see why there's 3 different versions in a minute. So the ace monsters, if you will, if you can call them that, is I've got the Sacred Beasts, except I haven't got the Sacred Beasts, I've only got the 1 so far in this deck, and that being Uria, Lord of Searing Flames, as well as his trap card as well. You'll see something like this in the other 2 decks as well when I get round to making them. Not making them, showcasing them. But yeah, here's the first sort of like the ace monster of this deck, if you will. Technically it'll be Armityle when I actually manage to get all the copies of it, but right now it's Uria, Lord of Searing Flames for this deck specifically, because this deck has the most trap cards in it out of the 3 at the moment, at least that I'm doing, if you will. You'll see what I mean once I do the other 2, which I might do them next, I'm not sure at the moment. Also, the 3 decks aren't like based on like here's one bit focus on Uria, here's one focused on Hamon, and here's one focused on Raphael. Instead, this one just so happens to be more trap centric, and I've got 1 each of the Sacred Beasts at the moment that I can use in these 3 decks. Hence why they each get 1 Sacred Beast each, you know, to make it at least somewhat fair. So, you know, and then Hyper Blaze is obviously the Uria trap. It basically supports Uria. Let me see what it does, because I can't remember the exact effect. To special summon Uria, Lord of Searing Flames, using its own procedure, you can use face-down trap cards to control as well. Once per battle, when an attack is declared involving your Uria, you can send 1 trap card from your hand or deck to the graveyard. Its attack and defense become the number of face-up trap cards on the field and in the graveyards times 1000 for the rest of the turn. So it actually makes its attack and defense much better, because you're not just locked to continuous trap cards, you're now locked to any trap cards. Once per turn, you can discard 1 card, add it to your hand, or special summon 1 Uria, Lord of Searing Flames, Hamon, an Ancient Beast, a Sacred Beast monster from your graveyard, ignoring its summoning conditions. So, pretty nice effect. I think that last effect is based on Uria's effect, kinda, but it's a lot more better, because in the anime, Uria had you discard a trap card, or mill a trap card, I'm not exactly sure, but I know you were limited to just trap cards to special summon itself, as opposed to any Sacred Beast, which obviously supports Uria still, so it's still good, it's still a positive effect, but it's not, it's more limiting than what we got on that card effect. Now, the other ace monster, technically speaking, is Phantom of Chaos. You'll see why in the, you know, what I mean by that in a bit, but just know that this card says any battle damage your opponent takes from battle from this card becomes 0, and then you can banish a monster from your graveyard to basically make this card become that monster for a turn. So he is in here, and he's the other boss monster, quote unquote, in this deck, basically explaining kind of how the deck works, if you will, in comparison to the other 2 decks. You obviously see what I mean when I do the other Armityle decks, which, like I said, I may do them next. I'm not really got an order for these decks. I'm just doing kind of what I want, if you will, to put it simply. And I think I kind of enjoy the Armityle decks, but these 3 I'm definitely going to do in a particular order at least. I do have decks based on the 3 Sacred Beasts themselves, but I'll get to them at a later date, you know. Maybe I'll even do them next time or something, but for now I'm doing the 3 Armityle decks, or the first of 3, I should say. Well, not the first of 3, just 1 of 3. So now onto the effect monsters. This card, Doomdog Okros. If this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, add a level 8 Fiend-Type monster from your deck to your hand. I'm pretty sure you can get this effect off of Raphael as well, off of tributing it for Raphael, so yeah, it's a pretty nice effect. Obviously there's no Raphael in this deck, but there will be all 3 copies when I get enough copies into the deck, so there is that. And it's a Fiend-Type, it's a Dark Fiend-Type monster, so, you know. Next up is Garbage Lord and Garbage Ogre. Garbage Ogre basically searches Garbage Lord from your hand by discarding, searching Garbage Lord from your deck by discarding Garbage Ogre from your hand. You can only use the effect of Garbage Ogre once per turn, and Garbage Lord allows you to special summon him by paying 2,000 life points, and he also limits himself from Ichthys summoning, so you can't Ichthys summon an Ichthys monster with him except dark monsters, but you can Synchro summon him, or Synchro summon with him, and you can Fusion summon with him, so this does that. So it's pretty nice. A bit of a weird Ichthys summon thing, but I guess he was made during the Ichthys era, so you know, here's what it is. Next up is Mask of Despair. Oh, not Mask of Despair, Mask of Darkness, sorry. Flip effect, select one trap card in your graveyard and add it to your hand. So, you know, obviously a really nice card for an Armityle deck because it retrieves your trap card, and it's also Fiend-Type, so it's good for the tribute summoner of Raphael and for getting your trap cards back, because obviously you're going to be running some trap cards in the deck anyway for Uria, so, you know, pretty nice card right there. It's kind of like a 2-for-1 deal, if you will. Next is Puppet Master. When this card is tribute summoned, you can pay 2,000 life points and target 2 Fiend-Type monsters in your graveyard. Special summon those targets, but they cannot attack this turn. So a really nice setup for Raphael as he brings back 2 fiends from your graveyard. The only issue with him is that you have to tribute summon him. So he can't be normal summoned, he can't be flat out normal summoned, he has to be tribute summoned. But as far as I'm aware, you can tribute a Fiend-Type monster, and then whatever Fiend-Type monster you tributed, you can bring that one back at the cost of 2,000 life points, as well as another one. But I'm pretty sure it has to be 2 Fiend-Type monsters, so you can't like do something where you've got a board of 4 monsters already. And you can't bring back Raphael, but you know it's still pretty nice effect to get off in the deck. Next up, you might predict it's at least showing up in the deck, that being Sangan. This is actually the old version. Wow, this is actually a very old version of the card. A very old version. When this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, move one monster with an attack of 1500 or less attack from your deck to your hand. Your deck is then shuffled. This is a very old. I didn't realize how old this card was because it actually says move one monster with an attack, you know, as opposed to search it or whatever. So technically, does it even search? I don't know. Probably not. I mean, it does, but it's that's great. That's one of my best cards. One of my favourites in the deck. Next up is Snipe Hunter. Discard one card from your hand, select one card in the field, and roll a 6-sided die. If the result is not 1 or 6, destroy the selected card. So, fit an attack and can turn your cards in your hand as a 2 in 3 chance of destroying something, which you can discard trap cards from your hand as well, continuous trap cards to boost your Uria's attack. So it's kind of a 2-for-1 as well, similar to Mask of Darkness. So, and the odds are in your favour as well at 2 and 3. So, you know, at destroying something. So, you know, not too bad. Alright, next up is Trench Archfiend. Once per turn, you can discard a Fiend-Type monster, and this card gains 500 attack until the end phase. With this card, you control destroyed and since you can target one of your banished dark monsters, add that target to your hand. So this deck so far is all dark monsters, and it will remain all dark, except for the boss monsters, obviously the 2 are the Hamon and Uria that'll be here. But it can search, or it can unbanish one of your dark monsters and actually give it to you in your hand, so it's pretty nice. And also discards a Fiend-Type monster, which one of my favourite continuous spell cards, maybe not favourite, but one of the ones I prefer, is Solidarity, which does help with, you know, in an Armityle deck, assuming you don't, assuming you use it just for fiends, and so obviously you can set out for that as well. So, it's pretty nice. And next up is one copy of Umbral Ghost. I'm sure I had more, but maybe there's somewhere else. Umbral Ghost. During your main phase, you can special summon this card and one of the 4 lower Fiend-Type monsters from your hand. You cannot normal summon a set during the turn you activate this effect. You can use this effect of Umbral Ghost once per turn. So basically, 2 for special summon, but you can't normal summon. At all during the turn you activate this effect. And it does obviously bring out another fiend as well, so it's good for setting up not Armityle, Raphael again. It gives you 2 for you, so obviously you can bring out, if you can bring out a third somehow, a third fiend, then you can special summon Raphael, because they are special summon monsters, so they're not going to get locked out. And obviously, I guess this could be a strategy. Actually, no, it can't. I was going to say this could be a strategy if one of them died. I was going to say if both of them died, but no, you have to keep one of them alive. So, if one of them died, you can tribute the other your next turn for Thingamajig, for that Puppet Master. And you've got your Raphael right there, so, it's that's pretty nice. Next is Armityle Decks. When this card is normal summoned, select one monster your opponent controls. Destroy that monster during the 3rd standby phase after the summon. This card cannot be destroyed by battle until its effect is resolved. So, obviously it's very slow, but it's very defensive in a way, because it means that they have to get rid of that monster in order to get rid of this monster. So, otherwise it's a free defender for a bit. Next up is, and actually the last effect monster of the deck, is Ixie's Avenger. This card is unaffected by the effects of Ixie's monsters. When this card is destroyed by battle with an Ixie's monster and sent to the graveyard, activate one of its effects, depending on the rank of the Ixie monster. Rank 3 or lower, your opponent mills a card from the actual deck. Rank 4, choose one card from your opponent's actual deck and mill it. Rank 5 or higher, your opponent mills as many cards from their actual deck to the graveyard as possible, but not more than the Ixie's monster's rank. So, yeah, it's a pretty nice mill card, if you will, in a way. It gets rid of the actual deck. So that's pretty nice. And it's a Fiend-Type monster as well, so obviously it works out. Alright, now for Advanced Force, which is actually kind of pointless in the deck at the moment, because its effect is you contribute a level 5 or higher monster to tribute summon a level 7 or higher monster. To summon a level 5 or higher monster, 7 or higher monster. So obviously it's not too good at the moment, and I should probably put it in the side deck, because I actually have no level 7 or higher monsters except for the Sacred Beasts. So, oops. I mean, I think this is still 41 cards at least, so I can take it out and still be a fireable deck. Next up is Cracking. Once per turn, when a monster is sent from the field to the graveyard by a card effect, inflict AOT damage to the owner of the monster, or monsters. Obviously this is more so, obviously if you can destroy cards by card effect, it's good for that, and then also it's a continuous spell, so there's going to be a lot of continuous spells in the deck as well. Simply for the fact that obviously I need continuous spells and continuous traps to be able to summon out the other 2 Sacred Beasts that aren't Raphael. So there is that. Next is Dimension Fusion Destruction, which is also not viable in this deck at the moment anymore, because I think this deck had I do have a copy of Armityle and that other one, which I'll take a picture and show off, but I don't have them in any of the 3 decks, because obviously neither of them can be played at the moment. Well, maybe one of the decks can play, I don't know, but for now I can't play really either monster. But this card, what this card does is basically banish from your hand, field, and or graveyard the fusion materials that are listed on a Phantasm fusion monster, and then special summon that fusion monster from your actual deck, ignoring its summoning conditions. You take no bad damage from attacks involving the monster special summoned by this effect. If you control the 3 Sacred Beasts, or at least one of the Sacred Beasts, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects in response to this card's activation. So another little benefit right there to you controlling one of them. Summon one out and you can just activate it essentially for free. Alright, next up is Double Defender. Once per turn, when an opponent's monster declares an attack, while you control 2 or more physical defense machine monsters, you can target the attacking monster and negate the attack. So, continue a spell and negate attacks, as long as you've got defense monsters. And wow, the last spell card, and it's pretty early in the alphabet, is Fallen Paradise. Which I just realised I had to search for this card somewhere else and I didn't put it in this deck, but then I didn't really think to. Oh well. Yeah, I've got a few extra cards I haven't really put in any deck at the moment, but that's because I'm trying to obviously make them all pretty decent, if you will. Trying to make them all viable, which I haven't done a very good job of, but yeah, I'll get there. Your opponent cannot target the 3 sacred beasts or Armityle in your monster zones with card effects. So I wonder if that counts the actual monster zone. I'm not sure about that. You know, I mean, why would you want to summon Armityle in the actual deck monster zone anyway? But anyway. Also, those monsters cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects while you control them. If you control any of the 3 sacred beasts or Armityle in your monster zone, you can draw 2 cards. You can use the effect of Fallen Paradise once per turn. Okay. Yeah, so yeah, you basically get a free pot of greed every turn. As long as you control the sacred beast or Armityle. And that's all the spells. Well enough, even though we ended on F. You know? Because like I said, I like to keep all these in alphabetical order. And the first trap is Call of the Hunted, which you might have expected in this deck. It's a very good trap card for this kind of deck. What it does is you basically target monster in your graveyard, special and face with attack. When that monster leaves the field, or when this card leaves the field, sorry, destroy that target. When that target is destroyed, destroy this card. So this is very good because at the bare minimum, you'd think it gives you the option of tributing either this card or the Fiend-Type monster reborn with this effect. You'd think at bare minimum it would give you an either or for Raphael or Uria, but what it actually does is if you if you tribute the Fiend-Type monster first, special by its effect, then what happens is it wasn't destroyed. The summoned monster wasn't destroyed by a card effect. Therefore, you can, therefore this card will remain on the field. So, therefore you can then tribute Call of the Hunted to then help summon out Uria. So it kind of works really well, I think. Obviously I'd have more copies of the card in the deck, but as of right now I only have the one. I've got like a bunch of Call of the Hunters and I don't know if I'm using them all or not, but... Next up is Dragon Catcher Jar. It's a continuous trap that I thought I'd include anyway, just to help, just as a... It's not the greatest card, but, it's not the greatest anti-card, I guess you could say, but it's something, maybe you'll trip at the opponent, maybe, and it's a continuous trap card, that basically just forces all defense position, all dragon monsters into defense position, including your own, which obviously you won't have any anyway, but, it's still something that might help trip at your opponent, so, we'll see, I guess, well, not we'll see, but you know what I mean. Next up is Echo Oscillation, which is also pointless in the deck at the moment. As its effect is, you can target one card in your Phantasm zone and destroy it, then draw one card. You can only use this effect of this card once per turn. I don't know, like with the update to the field, I wonder if this will work on your Phantasm zone cards, even if it's like a face down trap card, for example, or like if you anything called the Haunted in your Phantasm zone one, would that still work? I imagine not, but I'd love to be proven wrong in that regard. Next up is Five Brothers Explosion. When this card is activated, gain 500 life points for each continuous spell and trap you control. So obviously a really nice card for a deck like this. It gains your life points, but still, I don't think there's really much of a better card to put, much of a better deck to put it into. This face-up card you control is sent to the graveyard by your opponent's card effect. Inflict 500 damage to your opponent for each continuous spell trap card in your graveyard. So again, so this is pretty perfect for an Armityle deck, if you will. Not perfect, but you know what I mean. It's if anything, I don't think you'd find much of a better deck to put it in, unless it's like a deck that has a lot of continuous spells or trap cards for some reason. And obviously, this card gives you life points. I think this works the nice way round because it gives you less life points, but can deal more damage, if you will. Like, it deals damage equal to the spell trap cards in your graveyard, which you could have a lot of, if you will, but space up spell trap cards you control can only be up to 5. You know, so at most you'll get 2,000 life points from this card, 2,500 if it counts itself, which I imagine it does. You know, but it's still a pretty nice card, and it gives you a little bit of extra life points, and also deals damage to your opponent as well, and you can activate it in response to MST, so, and whatnot. Next up is Imperial Custom. Face up continuous trap cards cannot be destroyed except Imperial Custom. You can only control one Imperial Custom. So, defense for your trap cards, for your continuous trap cards, and bearing in mind that Uria doesn't destroy them, I'm pretty sure it troops them anyway. Let me have a look. It sends them to the graveyard. Whereas Imperial Custom, that prevents them from destruction. So yeah, you can still stun that Uria, so that's pretty nice. But they can still be destroyed by battle though, bear that in mind. So your mental reflex damage is protected that way. Next up is Limit Reverse, 2 copies of it. Select one monster with 1 fatal last attack from your graveyard and special summon it in attack position. If that monster is changed to defense position, destroy it and discard. When this card is moved from the field, destroy that monster. When that monster is destroyed, destroy this card. So again, it's basically like a Call of the Hunted, except weaker, because it only does monsters with 1,000 attack or less, and they can't go in defense mode. You'd think it'd be the other way around. You know, like they both have, like, one of them says 1,000 attack or less, and the other one says can't go in defense. But you know, I guess it's something. And again, it's just like Call of the Hunted. If you tribute the monster you summon first and then discard, you can get out Raphael and also Uria with just like one card, if you will. Just one card. Oh, you know what I mean. You know, it's one card gives one of the 3 tributes for both cards, so it's really nice that way. Next up is 3 copies of Miniaturize. Select one monster with 1,000 or more original attack. It loses a original attack and its level is reduced by 1. When the monster is removed from the field, destroy this card. So, of course, this helps weaken your opponent's monsters if they've got 1,000 or more original attack, and you can also obviously, if your opponent attacks, you can use this card to weaken them, to take less damage, or maybe to even destroy them in retaliation. And also, this card will also boost Uria as well, so, and any continuous trap card will do. So that's kind of why all these continuous trap cards are here. Next up is Nightmare Wheel. Activate this card by targeting one monster your opponent controls. It cannot attack or change its battle position. When it leaves the field, destroy this card. During each of your standby phases, inflict 500 damage to your opponent. That monster must be faced on the field to activate and resolve this effect. So again, another sort of like lockdown card that weakens your opponent, and it's again supports Uria. So next up we have Pixie Ring. If you control 2 more type position monsters, your opponent cannot select your monster with the lowest attack as an attack target. So of course, with your 3 Sacred Beasts in play, it's going to obviously protect your weak monsters. The only caveat is that you've got to remember that this does not work on all but your strongest monster. It works on all but your weakest monster. So if you have a monster with 300 attack, 500 attack, 800 attack, and Raphael on the field, it's only going to protect the 300 attack point monster as long as the one in attack position. So, you know, as long as that 300 attack point monster and Raphael are both in the attack position, or any of the other monsters in the attack position, it's going to only protect the 300 attack point monster, or the weaker attacker, if you will. But it's a continuous trap card, which is good enough. Next is Sealing Ceremony of Catan. Once per turn, you can banish one fire monster from your graveyard to target one card in your opponent's graveyard, banish that target. So this is just a random one-off I've got, and it's obviously going to not play too much because there's only 1, maybe 2 fire tribute monsters in this deck, those being Uria, which I'm thinking of playing 2 copies of, maybe 3 copies of, so you're not going to get too much out of this. But the reason why this card's in this deck is because it's to obviously make room for Solidarity, because then it'll get rid of a Pyro type, or rather it'll get rid of a non-Fiend type monster, so to help boost up your Armityle and Raphael. Next up is Shadow Spell, or Shadow Trap. Activate this card by charging. It's basically Spellbinding Circle, but it also actually makes them lose 7 attack points, where Spellbinding Circle doesn't in the real card game. So, and again, lockdown card and its continuous trap. Next up is Summon Gate. Each player can special summon a maximum of 3 monsters from the extra deck each turn. So even if a card says like special summon like 3 even if you try to pendulum summon, you can't pendulum summon 4 or more monsters at the same time. It actually locks that down as well, in the sense, because you can only pendulum summon. I mean, I think you can only pendulum summon in the actual monster zone anyway now. Not too sure, but let's say you can pendulum summon as many times as you want. Well, not as many times as you want, as many monsters as you want. This limits it to 3, as long as they're from the actual deck. Obviously, you can pendulum summon from the hand as much, though, but this still counts them as 3. So if you try and pendulum summon 3 times from the deck, from the actual deck, this limits it to 3. So again, a lockdown card, and it's continuous trap. Next up is Swamp Mirror, another not obvious card, but it's a pretty predictable card, if you will. Activate this card by declaring 1 monster type and 1 attribute. Special summon this card as a normal monster, level 4, attack of 1800, defense of 1000, with the type and attribute. This card is also still a trap card. So this is the kind of thing I was talking about trap monsters still being traps. Some of them aren't still traps, but some of them are, this being one of them. And so you can target, obviously you'll say Dark, you'll say Fiend-Type. I don't know what attribute you want, you can pick whatever, even define attribute if you wanted to. And then you've got a card that's basically, you know, tribute this card for either Uriah or Raphael, you know, or on his own is an 1800 attack point monster, so you can attack with him, you know, and he will gain attack from Solidarity and other cards that say target a Fiend or a Dark monster or whatever, as long as you say Fiend or Dark whenever you summon him, but, you know, he's still a pretty nifty card. Next is Toll Hike. A continuous trap, another kind of lockdown card, if you will. Each player must send 1 card from their hand to the graveyard to declare an attack. So this works pretty nicely in your deck, in the deck, because for one, you can send continuous trap cards from your hand to the graveyard to boost your Uriah, and your opponent, well, this, I mean, obviously your opponent's probably going to get graveyard effects anyway, but it still means that they have to discard a card, or send a card even. It's not even discard, it's send a card from their hands to the graveyard to get attacking, so they have to play around it like that. Next up is Vanity's Emptiness. Neither player can special summon monsters. If a card is sent from the deck or the field to your graveyard, destroy this card. So really it's a lockdown card, but also it helps with Uriah in the sense that, yeah, Uriah. I just get Uriah and Hamon mixed up. This card obviously locks down for a bit, locks down the playing field for a little bit, but also another continuous trap card for Uriah, and it has an easy way to kind of out itself, if you will, in a way. So therefore it's kind of an instant 1,000 extra attack for you in a way. And the final trap card of the deck is Widespread Dud. Select 2 first attack monsters on the field. When any of the selected monsters are removed from the field, destroy this card. When this card is destroyed, destroy the selected monsters. So obviously what this card would do is you select any 2 physical protect monsters on the field. It doesn't have to be both yours or both your opponents or 1 each. It can be both of your opponents if you want to, or both of yours for whatever reason. Or it can be 1 of yours that you're planning on tributing and 1 of your opponents that you just need to really get rid of. And then if one of them gets removed from the field, then this card will destroy itself, which will then destroy the other monster. If this card gets tributed for Uriah, both of those monsters just get destroyed right there and then. So obviously contribute this for Uriah and then get both of those monsters destroyed. So it's like it's like you're tributing 3 continuous trap cards and 2 of your opponent's monsters in a way. Alright, and now the 1 extra deck monster of the deck so far, that being Mastrake the Symphony de Shin. He's more of a defender. He's 800 attack and 2500 defense. 2 level 4 monsters will do for his summon. And he's a Fiend-Type monster, so he works with the deck as well. He works to summon in the deck because you can tribute him for Raphael. God, I'm forgetting this name now. Once per turn, you can attach the Dix return from this card to target one face of a type position monster your opponent controls. Change it to face down to opponent's position. So again, it kind of locks down your opponent in a way. If a face up destroyed Ix's monster, like himself, you control would be destroyed. So by battle or card effects, you can detach one X material from that monster instead. So obviously it does work on himself as well. He can protect himself. And there is a bunch of like rank 3 Deshin monsters as well, but none of them are in this deck because I think they're all in my one of my other decks. But it's still pretty defensive and it works on any Deshin monster. Plus, when you detach the X material, it has to be from that particular monster that's being destroyed instead of himself. So it's not like you only get 2 defenses. It's like you get 2 defenses per monster. So yeah, that's it for this deck profile. Now just for the end ramblings. This deck is obviously, like I said, I've only got 1 copy of the 3 Sacred Beasts each at the moment that I can put into these 3 decks. Obviously I'll probably do the other 2 next time, you know, so deck profiles episode 4 and 5 I think, just to kind of keep it consistent if you will. Or then maybe I'll do, I don't know what order I'll do yet, but whatever order I do them in, I'll try and remember to link them in the description below when they do go up. And then, what else was there? There's also, like, obviously, like, the Secret Beasts, obviously I've only got the 1 in the deck so far. But I do plan on getting the other 2 when I get enough copies, if you will. Obviously as well, like, not obviously, but like I'm just getting back to in like a good place, if you will, in my life. So a lot of things is like kind of still packaged up a little bit, if you will. And so I'm kind of slowly unpacking things and getting things sorted out. You know, so obviously a lot of things are just not, it's kind of untidy at the minute, but when I finally get things sorted, I'll obviously be able to do these decks proper and be able to put all 3 Sacred Beasts in and whatnot and what have you. Maybe I'll probably start using sleeves as well for the decks as well, because like before I used to only use sleeves for the Sacred, not for the Sacred Beasts, for the extra deck monsters, but because I thought, oh, it's an extra deck monster, so it's a bit more valuable in a way. I didn't, you know, that was before, you know, when I didn't realise just how valuable any card could have been. I mean, obviously I knew the Sacred Beasts, Significant God cards, that kind of thing, I knew they'd be valuable to some degree, but so I was always careful with them. But with other like normal cards, if you will, not with non-extra deck cards, I was never really that, not that I was careless with them to the point of, you know, ripping and tearing them apart or whatever, if you will, but I wasn't careful with them either, if you will, if that makes sense. Like, you might see that with some of my cards. You know, obviously that Sangan card was a kind of, it's kind of like gone, but I guess in a way, it kind of makes that Sangan card a little bit special in a way, a little more personal to me, if you will. Especially the fact that it said move 1 card from the deck to the hand, as opposed to add 1 card or search it or whatever. But yeah, I'm going to try and get these cards sleeved up properly and whatnot. If I'm understanding correctly, I imagine they've all got to be in the same sleeves as well. You know, like if you use a green one for 1 card, you've got to use a green one for the rest of the cards, otherwise it's like a tell of what the card is. But for the actual deck, I imagine you can use... Actually no, I imagine the actual deck's a little different. Maybe? But I imagine it's still like 1 colour, because I noticed like cards that say shuffle the actual deck or something, which I was never really a fan of from the start, because like I said, I have a particular order of how I do them, but I guess I'm just gonna have to let that go in favour of those effects, which I will you know, figure out eventually. I guess like I'll try and be a bit more lax with my order as well, because my order was very peculiar, I would say, given its, you know, the fact that it goes by stats and whatnot. You know, and I guess I should have just made it Fusion, Synchros and Nixies or whatever, and Links, you know, instead. Which I might do for the next deck profile, if, or for future deck profiles, just to keep things a bit more consistent, if you will, especially with the timestamps and whatnot. So yeah, I think that's going to be it from me today in this video then. So thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again soon. Have a minky day.